preached. It was my first sermon ever. And I was only been a Christian just a few months. I was in my jeans. I was barefoot. My hair was as long as yours, which was, I wish I had that much now. But anyway, so I had my Bible, and it was at night, and the lights were going, and I just stood up to share the gospel. I just opened the Bible. I didn't know how to do anything else. And when I asked people to respond, if they'd like to respond to the message so we could talk to them about Christ, 169 people did. Wow. And so it was like, I just thought that's what you were supposed to do. But I had a lot of learning to grow. I had to grow up and learn how to do ministry. And at that point in time, some people said you might want to think about preaching as a vocation. And so I began to grow and understand what that means. And so in 1971, I was actually licensed to the ministry.
Wow. That is so beautiful, and I feel so encouraged because you started preaching while you were so young.
Yeah.
Now tell us the story, how you encountered your wife and the journey began.
Yeah, that was interesting because I left Oklahoma to go to Alabama to go to a church, to be a young pastor on a church staff. It was a large church, like All Nations here.
All Nations.
And when I went there, I went to also a college at the same time. And I was a freshman in college. I was 19. I met my wife, who was she didn't like me, and I didn't like her. I thought she was a spoiled church.
She was a preacher's daughter?
Yeah. I thought she was a spoiled preacher's kid. She thought I was a crazy hippie. And anyway, long story short, we became friends, just like God brings two people together.
It's true.
Over about a year's period, we became really good friends and went to college together, and then we fell in love.
Wow.
Yeah, we fell in love and got married a year later. That was 46 years ago.
That's beautiful.
Long time.
Also
You're traveling. You're sharing the gospel now internationally, not just in the United States. And she said, what can I do? I said, honey, I don't know, but let's pray. I'd gone to Uganda for the first time. And I said, why don't you just go to Uganda with me?
Okay.
And it's a great experience. We'd never been to Africa. We'd done a lot together in Germany, in Western Europe. But the Lord had changed that. And so these doors began to open up. So she went with me. And the Lord just got a hold of her heart. She began to see the moms in the villages and got a real heart for the moms in the villages. How can I help them? And so a lady came and spoke over her and said, God has spoken to my heart that you're going to start a ministry here that will impact women. Well, she didn't know what that meant. Well, sure enough, her ministry, God is Grace, started 10 years ago. And what she does, she goes in the villages. And we do this through local pastors, and we identify vulnerable women, moms, many of them married, but many of them not, with anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 or 7 children. And what we do is, what she does, she has leaders there. She comes to Uganda 2 months a year and visits every woman. But she has a leadership team there that does job training. So what it is really, Rebecca, it's teaching moms how to fish. How to take care of themselves.
Very true.
Because every mother wants health care, and it's just a maternal thing that God gives. I think dads have it too. But so now over 1,000 women have found jobs, and 4,000 children have been helped at a minimal cost, a very, very small cost of money. $50 a month supports a woman for a year.
Wow. Oh, that's so brilliant. Let her get blessed because
she
doing
is.
really a good thing.
Yeah,
she is. Now, tell us about Kelly Green Ministry and when you started the ministry, because it's a big one and it's a hit.
Yeah, we started actually, probably 1971 was the first year we started, and I spent 33 years speaking in the U.S. in churches. I've been in 1,300 churches, and churches would invite me in to do harvest events. It's kind of like churches would prepare for months to say, bring your non-Christian friends. And what I would do is I would go into a church for 4 or 5 days and just share the simple gospel. Talk about the death, the burial, the resurrection of Christ. Talk about what it means to be saved and be born again and a personal relationship with Christ, and then challenge people to respond. And so during that time, we saw about 100,000 people that responded to the gospel in one way or the other during that time. And then we did an equipping ministry for 20 years called Frontliners, where we trained students, and we trained over 20,000 students. And so the ministry was domestic. It was revival, like old-time revivals and crusades in the States, small, sometimes stadiums, sometimes 100 people, sometimes 10,000 people. And then about 15 so years ago, that began to change. Instead of doing 41 countries,